Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Everquest Old School. And tonight I am over in Oasis with my Necro, and I am level 10. And I'm a little bit too low for this zone, to be honest. Probably around level 11, maybe level 12 would probably be the best. But you could probably do it at level 11 if you really wanted to try to push it. But level 10, probably not the best place. And as you can see, I'll go ahead and zoom out a little bit so you can get a better view. But yeah, it's a good spot to fight in because I'm making a lot of experience pretty rapidly, but it's not going to be anywhere near as much as, say, Crushbone or Unrest or Mistmore, because those are dungeons. They give you bonus experience for being in them. This is not one of those places. You're not going to get bonus experience for fighting here, but it is pretty cool. It's a different change of scenery. You do fight different creatures, and it really comes down to a few things. One, are you the kind of person who gets tired of a zone fairly easy? Do you like to have change? Do you want to sit in a zone for, 8 levels that require, 20 hours of actual gameplay to get through in one room? Then Unrest or Mistmore is probably the way to go. But if you're one of those people who like to change up your scenery, there are tons and tons of zones in here for all different levels. The only requirement is you have to be willing to run a great distance to get to them. They're not always easy to get to. Sometimes they're very hard to get to. But this is one that's not that bad. You just come over from Eastern Commons. You go through the tunnel where all the people are sitting selling the items. When you zone, you'll zone into the desert of Northern Row. And if you come out of the tunnel and go completely straight, you'll eventually hit the beach. And once you hit the beach, if you take a right and follow that beach all the way down, you'll get here. But when you zone in, you have to be very careful because, again, there's these caimans roaming around. They're fairly decent level depending on what you are at. So for me, again, they're red or yellow, and they're all ready to attack. Now, the weird thing about it is I've seen these things walk right through our group and leave us completely and totally alone. And then I've also seen people run by and get aggro from them. So I think I remember somebody saying way back when I played that if you're right here on this one little area of the beach, kind of at the slant, you're safe for the most part. But if you're up there on the flat area, you can get aggro quite easy. So I'm not sure if that's true or not. If it is, if you guys have noticed that, let me know. But either way, you just want to be a little bit more cautious when dealing with these creatures because they are all over the place over here. And there's a few things you might need to worry about as well in this zone. One, there are giants over here to our left, and they do occasionally get trained over here. So yeah, you may see one from time to time. Usually don't have to worry about it too much. The one thing that you may have to worry about quite a bit actually would be the specters. And I haven't actually seen them since I've been back, but I remember way back in the day they were a friggin' nuisance. Like, they would come over and just wipe groups all the time. You can see over there in the distance, right over to the right, there's a giant. Those are the giants I was talking about right there. And somebody is trying to kill them right now, I'm thinking. There was a monk here earlier, and on the last video that we did, if you guys watched that, you will see that the monk actually was helping power level people for whatever reason. What he would do is he'd bring the creature over here, the giant, and he'd beat it down until it was low enough on life that it decided that it wanted to run away. And that's what a lot of the creatures do when you get them down far enough, is they will start to actually run in the opposite direction. Once the creature started to run away, he is so low on life, he's not going to turn around and attack, even if all you have is 1 hit point. As long as you keep beating on him just a little bit. If his life starts to regenerate, he'll turn around again. Or if you get out of range of him, he may turn around as well. But as long as you keep beating on him, you're fine. And so what he would do is fatigue death. And when you fatigue death, you break the encounter, and the creature automatically assumes you're dead, basically. And you no longer can get an experience for that because you're dead. So now he broke the encounter. He did all the damage, which means he, by rights, should get the experience for it. But what he did is break the encounter, and then we finished off the last 2 or 3 experience points and got the experience for that. That's what people call one way to power level. Others way, there's quite a few ways to power level people, but that one's pretty cool. And if you do that with somebody who's really low level, and you let them kill a giant or something like that, they could really get, you know, a whole level or more out of that, I guess, if they were like level 1 or something. But yeah, you may have to do quite a few of those to get, you know, 10 or 15 levels out of it. But yeah, it's definitely gonna be faster than most other ways. But yeah, it's kind of cool just to see it every so often. We weren't asking for it, we weren't paying for it. It's just something he decided to do because he was bored, he's waiting for a raid to start. He felt like being kind. Maybe somebody did that for him way back when he first started out. I see a lot of people doing that. You know, when you first start the game and you're completely and totally brand new to it. See, at least I'm coming back. Actually, have played it back when it first came out, so I kind of understand a lot of the stuff, and I'm very used to playing the characters the way it should be played. But if you're coming to the game brand new to it, and your first experience is just coming out of the town, and then somebody walks up to you and gives you like 3 pieces of armor that are crazy, that you don't even realize at the time are really, really good pieces of armor, but then you do slowly over time as you start to realize what good armor is, and how beneficial it can actually be, that leaves a really, really good memory on you because somebody did that. You know, just here they are, never saw you again, never asked you for any favors. It's just there it is. And so a lot of the times that's what they will pass on to other players because it's happened to them that way. And I gotta say that it actually happened to me quite a few times the first time I played, but there wasn't like really good pieces of armor to give to people because I started when the server first came out, and so there wasn't really people at high levels. There was a few of them who I guess rushed through it as fast as they possibly could. They did like you know, 24-hour sessions for 3 or 4 weeks straight or something. I don't know how they got so high so quickly, but yeah, they powered level through that crap. And there was like 4 or 5 people who were, you know, max level within like I think it was like 3 weeks or something like that. But it was ridiculous, you know. And the people who just played the game naturally didn't get up to that point for quite some time, and because they didn't, there wasn't a whole lot of this armor to go around. And so when people gave stuff away, I remember getting my first rings from the Devilish Cutthroat camp over by the Eastern Commons. I forgot what the next one over is called, the one with Befallen in it. But yeah, it's it's definitely something I remember. I remember actually going to that camp and sitting there because that was one of the very first camps that I went to that actually had something that dropped, that I specifically went to the camp just to get that item. And that was something you do quite a bit later on in the game, but at the very beginning that wasn't something I had done before. And so I felt a really good accomplishment, or sense of accomplishment, when I got those rings. I was like, yes, finally, I've gotten some decent armor, some decent items, because before then I really just had, you know, the junk that you could get from NPCs or stuff you found laying around off of dead creatures and stuff, and because people weren't just handing stuff out. But eventually I actually got, I think it was the Blackened Sword or something like that. I can't remember what the name of it was called, but I got that from, I believe it was Befallen, from a friend of mine. He went over there and he helped me camp the creatures, and he was a little bit higher level than me, but you know, we did it pretty well, and I got the sword, and it really helped me out because I was a Shadow Knight. So it's little things like that that I remember, because a lot of people back in the day wouldn't give you money, they wouldn't give you items. What they would do is help you get the item yourself, and that's kind of what I like the best. You know, I don't really like in games going to the broker and buying the greatest item. I mean, I do in certain ways, because it does suck to have to go camp every single item you want. Just hold on a second. What's the lowest level can join you? Anyone need a summoned Spirit of Warding or a Spirit Pouch? So yeah, I could use the Spirit Pouch, but I won't take it. She can keep that. If she's a low level, I don't know why she's giving those away. Spirit Pouch is kind of cool, though. It's temporary, though, which means you will lose it when you camp out, so be careful about that. I don't know if you put items inside of it, if it will disappear as well. I think it probably would. I could probably use the Summon Spear. I could give that to my pet, but it looks like somebody gave him something. He has a sword now that I didn't see before. Yeah, but if you have stuff in that backpack, I'm not sure if you lose it when you camp out or go link dead, which would really suck. Because this game's not incredibly user-friendly, so if you do something you're not supposed to, and it can penalize you quite harshly, it's probably going to. And it's unfortunate in that regards that it's very unforgiving. But when you learn the lesson, you really learn that lesson, you never do it again. Which is also kind of cool, because then you don't have people making the same stupid mistake over and over and over again. What you have is somebody making a mistake, having something drastic happen to them, and then complaining in the chat channel saying, what just happened? Why did I lose this experience? What happened on my items? You know, and they get to the bottom of it. They figure out what their mistake is somehow, because the penalty is so harsh that even if you weren't paying attention, well, now you are. And so I think that's kind of cool. It stops people from doing stuff that is just really not in the interest of the server to be maintained as a healthy one, you know, as a server that people want to play on. Because if you have a lot of idiots on there doing stupid stuff, you know, like trains and stuff, and you never address that issue, either those zones are going to become unplayable because of people who just enjoy sitting there for hours waiting for somebody to get in there and start a group, and the moment you do, they run in there and train you for no other purpose but to sit there and laugh that they did it. There's people out there like that. They will do that. So unless you have somebody monitoring that, or come up with a way to stop that from being a possibility, you know, people are going to do it. And I kind of like the way of making it where people still can do trains, because I think that is just unbelievably fun in an MMO. I'm kind of tired of all the MMOs out there that you're part of the server, but you're not really part of the zone. I mean, you can have 50 people in the zone if you happen to be playing on a game that even allows you to have multiple people in a zone. Usually they're all instances now where you own the zone by yourself and you never see another group, and you know, you go through it almost like a campaign mode. You know, you finish off the zone and now that zone's done with, but there's a gazillion other zones out there for anybody who wants to start one. It's cool, but then yeah, it separates you from other groups. And in games like this, when you're in a zone and you have other groups to interact with, sometimes they do something they shouldn't have. Sometimes you do stuff you shouldn't have. And then the two groups interact with each other. You know, you train the group by mistake, or they train you, and now you guys are talking to each other or yelling at each other and trying to figure out, okay, you should step on that side and we should stay on this side, and no more crossing back and forth. Those mobs are yours and these mobs are ours. You know, that's like a community. You're building a community on the video game in a multiplayer game, and these other ones just kind of seem like you're visiting the same school, but you're not allowed to talk to any of the other students. You can see them, but you can't interact with them. You can group with them, but only a few of them at a time, and you could never really stand in the hallway and shout and talk to all of them if you wanted to. You know, it just separates you in a kind of an environment that lets you have tons of people, and it just seems kind of, you know, backwards to do that. Like, why do you do an MMO and then separate people from one another? And why would you do an MMO and make it as easy as possible never to group with anybody? That just boggles my mind. I mean, I know that's how they're all going, because it opens up different age range that usually can't play games like this, because you know, they need the time that they can invest, they need the skills, they need the understanding to actually comprehend what the group expects of them and things of that sort. And so, oh crap, this guy's about to die. Let's see if I can toss a heal on him in time. Heal? Oh, the healer got him, at least. There, I got a little bit on him. That might help him out, maybe. Can I keep going? Can I keep healing him? The healer's doing... Okay, the healer got it. Let's see, maybe I can get some health off of this guy. Maybe. He is resisting me like crazy. Nope. Man, I am completely useless in this group. I feel horrible. Way too soon. Let's see, am I about to level? I did level. I leveled and I didn't even notice. Did you guys hear the ding? Because I didn't. Oh man, I should have been paying attention. How do I not hear that? I must have been so wrapped up in what I was saying, I wasn't even listening to what was going on. I'm sure there's been plenty of fights where I just sat there throughout the whole fight and wasn't even I didn't even cast my pet into it. There we go. That one took, at least. No, it was interrupted. Here, I thought I actually did something. And my pet, you guys might be thinking, well, at least your pet is attacking. I think about 99% of the time, my pet can't hit the broadside of a barn. He is a low-level pet. I get a new one, I believe, at level 12. So, basically what happens with Necro pets is when you first get them, they are even level to you, sometimes even yellow to you when you first get them. Let me get this Desert Madman. And then as you level up and you get closer and closer to your next level pet, now your pet is either blue, sometimes it's even green to you when you get that close to your next level pet. So yeah, it definitely doesn't do a whole lot right before, and I'm right before my next level pet. So yeah, it's definitely leaving something to be desired. Even with that weapon that somebody gave him, I don't really see him doing that much damage, which kind of sucks. We are all come begging. I don't know what that's for. Rune of Scale. You want me to pull Mogs? Mogs? I think he meant mobs. But I really can't get after him for misspeaking, because I do it all the time in my videos, so I do apologize for that, guys. It's probably be impossible for somebody to do a couple hour-long Let's Plays and not get befuddled at certain times, especially while you're trying to pay attention to the text and the group and the mobs, and doing your job and coming up with catchy things to talk about, which is not always easy. What is she doing over there? Oh, she's not in our group. That's a bard. She's actually hanging out over here because I guess she figures that she's a little safer near some people. If she gets in over her head, maybe we'll toss her a heal or help her out, and she's probably right for the most part. If she's not taking advantage of the situation, meaning that she's not pulling something over here that she can't handle all the time, hoping that we'll finish it off for her and stop doing what we're doing just to help her out. If you do that to the excess where people just see that you're just trying to earn experience faster than what you should be doing by yourself, they'll stop helping you out. So yeah, try not to take advantage of that, but definitely use it if you need it. If you see a group over there and you could maybe do it with a few heals, move off to the side. Be sure to be far enough away that when you die, it doesn't automatically train them, but that you're close enough that they can see you. And if the healer wants to toss you a heal, or the tank sees that you're in trouble and he wants to go over there and help you out, they'll do that. But if they don't, you can't be upset with them because they got their own thing going on. I mean, even if they are not doing anything at the moment, that doesn't mean that they don't have problems. They may be all out of power because they just went through a bad fight, or they may have people AFK. I mean, if they're not killing, there's chances are there's something going on, because they'd be killing if they could. So yeah, it's definitely something you can use, but I tend to try not to be near groups, to be honest, for myself when I am soloing, because I don't want to interfere with them, and two, I don't want to take mobs from them, because usually in a group, your only restriction on how many mobs you can kill are how fast they respawn. When you're in a decent group and you got things going and everything's rolling along really, really well, the only thing you can do basically is run around and look for mobs, because you're killing them so fast. And if you have a couple people there soloing, they're just pulling one or two mobs here and there. It's not that big of a deal, but those are one or two mobs each that your group could have had, and it adds up. So yeah, I try to go off the beaten path and get away from groups, but I do understand that this zone is one of those zones, like I said on the last episode, where it pushes you to group with people that normally just solo, because it's such a good zone for soloing, and yet it can still kind of introduce you to the whole aspect of grouping, because you're near each other, you see other people soloing, and if you have two people that are sitting in an area, or even 3 or 4 people sitting in an area, and you guys are all basically killing the same stuff, so to please, okay, I'm just making sure. But yeah, if you guys are all killing pretty much the same stuff, eventually one of you guys, even if you're completely and totally antisocial, will be, like, why don't we just, kill this stuff together? Especially when you get into those fights where, yeah, it may be really, really tough, and it's one of those things where you're like, I don't know if I'll survive it. So you run over and you get some help from somebody else, and when you realize that you're vulnerable and you know, you can hunt there for the most part, but occasionally you get in over your head. Most people will be like, yeah, I wouldn't mind having just an extra backup. And I see he's killing them pretty quickly. I'm killing them pretty quickly. You know, even if we don't talk to each other, at least we can continue doing what we're doing. And that's the beginning step, like I said before. You know, that gets you introduced to other people, gets you used to being in a group, even if it's just a group of 2. And once you get that, you can build on it. You can get another guy who's soloing in the same area, because usually you'll have somebody who feels bad. You know, you're in there, you're killing stuff, and there's another soloer over there, and you'll see that maybe he's having a hard night. Maybe he's dying. Maybe there's like 3 of his corpses there. He's just trying to kill the same stuff as you. You know what he's going through because that was you know, like 2 hours ago before you got into the group. So you send him an invite, and he joins it. Now you got 3, and you know, it just builds on itself, and it's really, really fun. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, miss out on that aspect of the game. I know there's an aspect of the game that is soloing, and that I miss out on that aspect. I don't really do that too often. And I know there's a lot of satisfaction from players who do solo, because what it proves is, one, you can take those creatures on that normally take an entire group to kill. And you do it with strategy and with skill. And that's kind of cool to be able to say that, you know, it takes you 6 people to kill that. I can do it with 1. It may take me 3 times or 4 times as long, but I can do it, you know. And so there's that sense of pride. And 2, when you solo long enough, you just get used to it. It's the same thing with groups. If you group long enough, you get used to it, and you really can't imagine doing it any other way. And so people very much get set. And you kind of have to pick early on, because if you do get set, it's going to be hard to break it. And when you first start the game off, you're pretty much a soloer. All people are going to solo the first few levels. But around level 5, most people will start looking for a group, because that's when the experience starts to slow down quite a bit. And then you're like, okay, I'm not earning them quite as easy, and the creatures are pretty low level, because most creatures are made to be level 1 and 2 in those kind of zones. And then it jumps up and it goes to like level 5 creatures. So either you're killing a whole bunch of level 1 and 2 creatures for level 3 and 4, and then at level 5 you're fighting creatures that are either even or yellow to you. So that's kind of rough, and you need a few people to help you out with that. And so people will start getting into groups then. And that's why there's a group of people who have always grouped, because even at low levels you can do that. And there's dungeons out there like Crushbone, if you guys watch those episodes that I did with my paladin, or not my paladin, yeah, actually my paladin too, but mainly my cleric was in that zone. And yeah, you can level up in that zone all the way from level 4 if you want to. If you get a good group in there with the same level characters, you can sit there at the entrance and you can make some really, really good experience from the bonus of the zone. And the creatures spawn really, really quickly as well. And you can just level up, and as you level up, you can go further and further into the zone, all the way up to the throne room, which is just an amazing experience. If you can get in there and your group is good enough to kill it, keep in mind, guys, that is a hard room to be able to keep up with, because they spawn, 1, really, really quickly, and 2, they're pretty high level creatures. So you're going to have to be able to tank them, and then your healer or your healers will have to keep up with the pace of the group. And I think that's the key part. That's the part that's the hardest, is keeping up with the pace. Because if you don't, the room just overwhelms you, you die, and then you have to break back into the room, which is even harder than keeping the room, if you can imagine that. But it's usually the breaking in that never allows you to recover. Because when you break in, you're going to use a lot more power than you will if you were just trying to keep the room. But unfortunately, when you break in, the rooms respawn so quickly that you never really have time to recover, and which means you are constantly at almost no power because of it. And it's just one of those ways that if you are kind of not you know, comfortable being rushed or, you know, on the edge all the time, then you're probably not going to want to go into that room. But it definitely is kind of an exciting room to go into, and you get amazing experience. So let's see. We have a fine, that's so kind. Let's see, useful 90% more. Okay, so I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything in the chat. I gotta check that every so often. I always forget. A deep water croc is, I was gonna con it, but I was gonna say it's dead, so there's nothing I can do about that. They drop meat basically over here. Occasionally they drop something else as well, but it's mainly just meat and pages. I've seen a lot of pages over here, and they're the left side of the pages. I know Unrest, I think, has the right side of the pages. So you have to go to 2 different zones, like I mentioned before, and this is one of them that you can get pages in. Tiny shoes. Shoes are the keys to my destiny. Well, anybody who's ever had to work on their feet will agree to that. Get the shoes, and you might be able to save your feet. Keep wearing those very uncomfortable but nice-looking ones, and you are never going to be able to finish your day as a waitress or something. I mean, that would just be a nightmare. Let's go ahead. Nope, nothing took. Even at level 11, I can't hit these creatures at all. Basically, I'm just sucking up experience. At this point, my pet is probably not doing a whole lot. Let me look at my pet. What is it doing? It missed yet again. It hit him for 22. No, that was somebody else. No, missed again. Yeah, my pet's not hitting anything. And I'm not really getting a lot of experience here. Now, if I was over in... I'm a level 11, so probably the best place for me to be would be... I guess it would be over there with the what I was just talking about. I can't remember the name of the zone now, guys. Oh my god. I'm completely blanking out on it. Crushbone! Yes, there you go. So if I went over to Crushbone, I'd probably level up a lot faster than here. But I'm digging the zone, actually. I'm kind of liking the different view, because I've been over in Crushbone, and I've been over in Unrest for so long. I kind of like checking out some of these new zones. Even if I don't earn as much experience, even if I don't earn any experience, just having new creatures to kill and new experiences to try, because you have so many spells, and a lot of the time people will get so focused on the ones that they're used to using. So a cleric will become obsessed with using his undead spells because they're so worthwhile. They do so much damage, and they don't really take that much power to cast, and so it's just better to use those than anything else. And so a lot of the clerics will become obsessed with finding zones that they can actually use those spells in, and they just ignore all the other ones. And there's tons and tons of zones in this game for all different kinds of levels, and a lot of them are really, really good for clerics. I mean, you excel in those zones, and you do... Oh, did I actually hit the creature? No, it resisted. But remember, even if it resists the spell, it actually goes off like it actually landed. It gives you the hate for it. So keep that in mind, guys. That it's definitely you gotta still pay attention to what you're doing, even if you're not. Oh crap! This thing's attacking me. Kill it. Taunt it off. Kill this thing. Taunt it off, man. There we go. He's taunting it. Good. I'm gonna go ahead and suck some life off of it. We're like Pablo's pets. Let's see if I can keep sucking life. Kill it a little faster. I got plenty of power because mainly none of my spells work on any of these creatures. The Caimans are the lowest level creatures you can fight over here, and so they're one of the few creatures I can actually land spells on. You'll have the Grand Caiman, or not the Grand Caimans, the Deep Water Caimans that are a little bit higher level, and some of my spells will occasionally land on those. But then you have Crocodiles, which are the next level up, and then Deep Water Crocodiles, which are the highest ones you can find. And the level range on them seems to vary quite drastically on some of these. I mean, some of them are really, really hard to kill for our tank and for our group, whereas other ones that he fights, they seem to have a lot of hit points regardless, but they didn't seem to do a lot of damage to him. And so, yeah, you're going to have to be careful with that and kind of figure out... See, I'm casting too quickly. I'm getting aggro. Let me go ahead and turn off the taunt of my pet so they don't have to compete with that. Remember, if you're not the main tank, as far as your pet goes, which is going to be almost never that your pet was going to be the main tank, to turn the taunt off, hit the little button right here that turns your pet taunt on or off, and that's going to be pretty nice. That means your pet will no longer compete for aggro. He will just sit in the back and do the damage. which is what you kind of want. The same thing for your mage pets. At some point, you know, your mage pet, a lot of mages have this problem too. Necromancers not so much, but a lot of mages have the issue where they don't know how to function without their pet being the center of their universe, because it is, you know, it is the center of their universe for the majority of their game. Yeah, they're going to be concentrating on that pet. They're going to be trying to get the best pet possible. They're going to be learning how to use the pet and deal with the pathing issues, how to pull with that pet and how to solo with that pet. And then they get into a group, and some groups will literally tell you, go ahead and get rid of your pet because we don't need it. Pets take a small portion of the experience of the group, so you lose a little bit of the experience because the pet's up and fighting, and then you have to worry about the pathing issues of a pet. So yeah, I actually dated a mage, and I got her into a lot of groups with me as my cleric, and it was just beyond her. I always had to try to explain it to her over and over and over again, and she just never really got it, why they would not want her pet to be up. And it's just, sometimes it's more trouble than it's worth, really. And the pets do quite a bit of damage sometimes, and they are kind of nice to have as a backup healer, or not a backup healer, but a backup tank if something goes wrong. But yeah, I would say probably about 60% of the time, groups with mages would tell them to get rid of their pets. No, too many spells too quickly. That would be nice right about now. Warriors get double attack. 13. 15. 13 is dual wield, okay. Compared to this monster. So he's using a two-handed one, which is 25 damage, 50 delay, and the effect of haste. That's pretty nice. You have haste on there. And for those of you who don't know what haste is, basically what it sounds like, it speeds up your attack so that you attack more often. So even if you have something with a high delay, but you have, you know, the FBSS, which is the flowing black silken sash, which comes from lower Guck. Oh my god, I can barely get through that. Okay, but if you get that belt, you will have haste, which is really, really nice, and you will have haste on any weapon that you have equipped. His weapon has the haste only if you have that weapon equipped, which means you can't get a better weapon and keep the haste with it, so that kind of sucks. That's why everybody wants that belt, because you can kind of switch out your weapon and make some of the weapons out there incredibly fast. If you get a weapon that has really low delay, you can put that on and it's just amazing. And if you're a warrior who can do two-handed dual wields, or I mean, you know, dual wields with you know, weapons in each hand, then you can have two weapons that, you know, hit really, really fast. And what they will normally do with that is they will have one weapon that does a lot of damage, and the other weapon will hit really fast. So they're at least always doing damage, they're always building up aggro to the creature, and then occasionally the other weapon hits and does massive amounts of damage. And then you get that FBSS, and it's a game changer. It really, really is. Let's see, Harry Field. Okay, they're doing all that. No, nothing to do with me. They're talking about hairy feet will be all soft, and so now their shoes are the devil. Weird stuff tonight, guys. I know I've said that before, but this really is kind of a strange group. I don't know where they're from or if they're friends with one another, but they've been here for quite some time now. And the experience is pretty slow, and I am the lowest level, but this is actually on the verge of ridiculous. I think I'd actually make more experience soloing over in Eastern Commons than I would over here. And I don't remember that being the case. I remember coming over here with my Shadow Knight and just making massive amounts of experience. But for those of you who are watching, you can see the experience I've gained, and it's really not that much. Even with that giant they were bringing over here occasionally, I wasn't making that much experience. So I think they may be right. I think that maybe the highest level person in the group is dramatically taking a lot of the experience away from us. I know they took quite a bit, just not this much. I don't remember it being this much, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do. And so I'll probably have to rethink whether I'll group with a lot of high level people in the future if I'm looking for a little bit of experience. If it's about loot or seeing a new dungeon or a new zone, then I probably wouldn't care. It's just, you know, because you're getting the experience out of it. But if you're literally, you know, you log on, you're like, okay, I want to get out of this level. I want to get my next level spells. that's what my goal is today. There's nothing wrong with that. You should, at some point, get serious about leveling up and get past some of those levels, because if you don't, there's going to come a point where you're in those heck levels where you go to different zones to get a change of scenery because you've been in whatever zone that you go to for quite some time. You go to another zone like Lower Guck. You'd be in Lower Guck for a long time. Then you go over to Solus B for a long time, and you're still stuck in the hell levels, basically. And you just you don't have anywhere else to go, really, that you know of, and you'll actually start going off in other places. But there comes a point where you just have to stop exploring and really, pull up your sleeves and get busy with leveling up and just go and grind it out in Solus B or Guck to get that level, because it's really the only way to go. Otherwise, you can do it slowly. It's just, man, it takes you so long, and it's going to feel like you were that level for all of eternity. And, by the time you get out of it, you're almost going to forget what it feels like to be anything else but that level. You won't have remembered the last time you've gotten a level or gotten anything new for being that way. And I know what that feeling is like, because when the game first came out, you could only get to level 50. So I think we're going to go ahead and end the episode here, guys. If you do like these videos, please take a moment and hit the like button, subscribe. Definitely helps grow my channel, and I greatly appreciate that. I will be doing more video games in the future, different types. I'm doing, I think, 7 right now. 3 of them are daily episodes. The other ones are not so much. Having a little bit of a hard time actually balancing doing all the episodes that I need to do and work at the same time, but hopefully we can get some more episodes out for those other series up here pretty soon. But again, guys, if you do like these, show the love down below and leave some comments. I always love hearing back from you guys and finding out what you enjoy, what you don't, what you want to see in the future, or if you just have any stories you want to share with us. I'd be more than happy to hear them, and if they're really, really funny, I'll go ahead and share them with everybody on the channel. And we all love a good laugh or a good story, even if it is with a sad ending. If the raid wiped, nobody got any loot, and everybody went home crying, we kind of like to hear about that too. So again, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next episode.